Well, we are now just 2 weeks away from the June primary election. As always, thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. In tonight's show, we are looking at congressional seats that are up for grabs, including several redrawn districts following Proposition 50 passing. But first, let's get into the race for governor. It is still a wide open race with many voters still undecided. New tonight, we are getting a look at the latest governor's poll from the California Democratic Party. Now, this is the state party's final poll before the primary. It shows Steve Hilton in the lead, sitting at 22%, Javier Becerra not far behind, sitting at 21%, followed by Tom Steyer with 15%. Then we got Chad Bianco at 10%, Katie Porter closing out at 7%. If you take a look at the bottom, Matt Mahan, Antonio Villaraigosa, and Tony Thurman round out the bottom four. 13% of voters, though, are still undecided. Now, to help us break down the crowded governor's race and also what to watch for in the June primary election, we are joined by two very special guests tonight. We have Republican strategist Nick Merman and, of course, Democratic strategist Andrew Acosta. Thank you both so much for being here. Obviously, a lot going on in this race. I do want to start with that latest poll that we just showed you from the California Democratic Party, showing Hilton leading, Becerra not far behind. Nick, let me start with you first. What do you think that this says about what voters are looking for right now? And where does that really leave Tom Steyer, who's polling a close, third place right behind those two?
Well, Becerra is leading for two main reasons. One, he's not just a blank slate. He's one of those magical mirrors where you look at it and you see what you want to see. And that's what the institutional players in California politics are really looking for. Someone that they can try to do business with. It's a little bit pliable. The main reason he's leading, though, is not because of who he is, but because of who he isn't. And he isn't Tom Steyer. He isn't playing a democratic socialist who wants to blow up the system. And Tom's biggest problem is he's not a very likable guy. He is a hedge fund manager, and as someone who has spent time around hedge fund people, I can tell you they're generally not likable. He spent almost $200 million. He's reached his ceiling at about 15%. And if he really wants to make moves and give me points on his next buy, I would tell him to his face, it's time to get out of your own advertisements.
Nick, thank you. Andrew, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think he's a little oversaturated. He's hanging around. Democratic voters they saw what happened with Swalwell. They got very concerned. Now they're trying to find a safe place to land. What you see is where the vote for Becerra is, and the vote for Mahan and Porter has dropped. But, Steyer's not done, and he is still spending money. So there's 2 weeks for him to make a play, and that play is probably going to be, number one, getting out of his ads, having validators in the ads talking about how he's a great guy, teachers, nurses, whatever, and attacking Becerra. So I don't know if it's done. There's still, there's quite a few people who have voted according to this poll, but there's a large, enough of it undecided that there could be some shifts going into this.
Well, Andrew, speaking of the undecided, let me ask you, could low enthusiasm actually shape this race? Sometimes it's not the most motivated voters or not necessarily the biggest, voting bloc that could determine a race.
Yeah, Democrats are very concerned about, two things. One, making the wrong choice for governor, and two, having two Republicans box Democrats out, which doesn't seem to be happening now. But 8 years ago, we had 8 million voters show up in a primary for Gavin Newsom. It was the largest gubernatorial primary turnout ever, but it was 37% of the vote. Now, that was 19 million voters total. We have 22 million. 37% of the vote will be a little bit more than last time, but it's not going to be amazing turnout. So it's going to be a low turnout primary election. So there still could be some twists and turns, but clearly people aren't super excited about any candidate.
Yeah, Nick, that was actually my next question to you, is when you see low voter ballots being returned, is this a bigger concern that voters really feel disconnected on whether or not government can truly, change or impact their daily lives in any way?
I don't think this has to do much with voter apathy in government. I mean, voter apathy in government and the disillusionment with what government can do for them has been low for 15, 20 years. This is really a reflection of what people actually think about the people who are running, the enthusiasm in the candidates. This is not the greatest Democratic list of candidates that California Democrats could have put out for voters. It's a bunch of also-rans and people that really just aren't exciting the Democratic base.
Yeah, thank you both. I know there's so many more questions we want to get to. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but thank you both for being here. I also want to mention that if you want to hear more directly from the candidates, streaming now on the free ABC 10 TV streaming app, I sat down with the leading candidates in the governor's race to ask them about their vision for the state's future. To watch those interviews, look for California governor race on the home screen. You will definitely see it right there.